So I rewatched the entire Wings Fever game and have every clip that Sophie and Paige were going against each other. I'll tell you how I came up with the conclusion that Sophie was talking about Paige, and when Caitlin Clark responded, it was about Paige Beckers. And you could tell me I'm wrong in the comments below, but here's my reasons why. So before we get into the highlights, let's go all the way back to college when Caitlin Clark single-handedly took down UConn. And Aaliyah Edwards, who's in the WNBA, Paige Beckers, Rookie of the Year this year, and then her girlfriend. And not only that, Gino. How do you think that UConn, the previous players that went there, and the current roster that lost to Caitlin Clark feel about Caitlin Clark? Honestly. And she didn't just beat her. It was kind of embarrassing because Paige had her back turned. She threw it off her back to let the time expire in the game. Like I said, this was a stacked team versus one player. How do you think that made them feel? And a player that they didn't want, they didn't recruit. How bad do you think they wanted to beat Caitlin Clark? And Paige and Caitlin Clark have been compared to each other their entire careers. And listen to what they actually said about each other this season.
Friends. I wouldn't say like we're best friends and talk all the time. It's hard when you end up going your separate ways and are at different colleges and things like that. And
Paige, have you talked to Caitlin at all? She went through some of the injury stuff that she has this year. Have you talked to her, offered any support or anything like that?
No, I haven't talked to her personally, but I know she's got a great team around her. She works.
But that's not the reason why I think that she said that. This is the reason why. Watch how physical the game gets between Paige and Sophie. Full court presses. Like, you could tell how much it builds and builds and builds to where Paige is literally pissed off at Sophie Cunningham right before Sophie Cunningham gets subbed out and says this. And some people are like, I think she was talking about Stephanie White. Sophie Cunningham moved into the starting lineup. She gets more minutes than anybody now. So I don't think Stephanie White is the one they're talking about. But you could tell me in the comments below. But let's get into it. All right, stay with me, guys. So Sophie Cunningham's guarding Paige down there in the corner. It's 2-2. It takes a minute to build, but just watch where I'm going for this. Makes her pass. And then Sophie Cunningham 5-2. Passes again. And then Sophie Cunningham comes up with a huge block, runs it full court, does the give and go, but they never gave it back to her. But she's running. Look at Sophie Cunningham's defense, 7-4. And then blocks the girl from behind, playing great defense. Sophie Cunningham's got her locked up right now. So watch this. The other player on the wings pushes Sophie Cunningham out of the way. Watch it. And Sophie Cunningham still gets back on defense on Paige and forces a missed shot. Paige had some buckets. That right there, Cunningham got fouled. They didn't call it. But look at this. Another missed shot by Paige. When Paige got buckets, it wasn't on Sophie. Look at this. Sophie burns Paige up the court and gets a score. And she got this defense locked up at half court. Look at Sophie. I'm just trying to highlight where this is going. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Because Sophie's picking her up at half court, not allow her just to roam free and get easy buckets. Look at Sophie making her work on the other side. If the team would have passed her, she really could have got her working on the other side, but they never passed her the ball. Sophie Cunningham, another defensive play where it leads to points. And Sophie Cunningham ran out, but they didn't see her. But it did lead to a bucket. Here we go, Paige Beckers. It's going to start heating up, guys. Stay with me. This is the one where Paige Beckers, like I said, she scored some points, but it wasn't on Sophie Cunningham. Look at this full court press. She's down there playing full court defense and doing great job. And they actually call a foul on Sophie Cunningham for nothing. Look at Sophie Cunningham. Now it starts picking up. Near the second quarter, it starts to pick up. She's still playing full court defense. They just won't pass the ball to Sophie Cunningham. And you could tell this is where Sophie Cunningham's kind of getting pissed off. So here we go. Paige Beckers. She got her backed in down low, but they won't give her the ball. All right, here we go. Look, it still got her on defense, and she scores, but it wasn't on Sophie Cunningham. Every time Sophie Cunningham had her, she locked her up. Look at this. Following her, and watch Sophie Cunningham. The eyes up to get back. They called a foul on her, but she turned around playing defense on both players. And then here we go. Sophie Cunningham, another turnover from Paige Beckers. And then we're in the corner. This is the start of the third. Kind of pushed off there. Sophie Cunningham causes her to pass the ball again. She is locking her up. And then here we go. Look in the bottom of the corner. Locked her up and forces another missed shot. She's doing a great job on Paige Beckers. Look at this. Has her stuck. She can't get open. She can't get the ball. They can't run their offense because of Sophie Cunningham's defense. There we go again. They just can't get anything going because Sophie Cunningham is playing great defense, forcing her to pass the ball. The ball is not going through Paige Beckers. Here we go. She finally forces one. Now she's starting to get pissed off. Look at this. And you could tell by the way she turns right to the ref and starts asking for fouls. And Sophie Cunningham gets fouled. They didn't call it. All right, here we go. Sophie Cunningham, they can't run the inbounds to Paige Beckers because that defense. And then she got 3 free throws, but that's Howard. That's not Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham's doing a great job. And Sophie Cunningham gets the jump ball, and Paige Beckers is pissed. She's talking to the ref. I don't know if it's about the jump ball or the foul that wasn't called at the free throw line when she forced a shot she didn't get touched on, but she is pissed at the refs. And then look at this. They're just causing her to pass the ball. When Sophie Cunningham, she has locked down defense and found out the best way to play on Paige Beckers. Look at this. She can't do anything on Sophie Cunningham. And this is third quarter. Look at this. Has her hands up, full court, playing this defense and forcing her to pass the ball. Grabs the ball, moves it up, and then Ari Foster ends up with the three-pointer. And here we go. Look at her still playing that lockdown defense on Paige Beckers and then gets the steal. And this is when it happened. So here it is. She's not talking about Stephanie White. They're right next to Stephanie White. She gets more playing time than anybody. Caitlin Clark goes, yep, I know. She hates me. So Paige was out the third quarter with an injury. And when she comes in, she knows it's Sydney Colson. She gets an easy bucket. But right when Sophie Cunningham gets back on her, this one she gets taken out by an illegal screen and the wing score. But watch her. Watch Sophie Cunningham how good she is at defense. She actually switches defenders, plays defense on a bigger defender, forces a miss. And look at this post up. They won't give her the ball. Give her the dang ball. But what I'm trying to say is Sophie Cunningham single-handedly won this game by her defense. Look at this defense on Paige Becker. She does not let her get an inch. Watch this shutdown defense. And they didn't even make Paige work on the offensive side because they wouldn't pass Sophie the ball. Like flat out. Paige got to take it off 50% of the game and just turn her back to the person she was defending. If they let Sophie Cunningham actually get buckets, that's how you make the best players work on the other side of the ball. Sophie gets fouled. They don't call anything, but she scores an amazing bucket. And watch how they let Paige rest on defense the entire game. McDonald. How do you miss that? I know one player that can't wait for Caitlin Clark to come back. This is why Kelsey Mitchell averages 2 assists per game for her career. Could you imagine your defender doesn't play defense on you the entire game, but your team doesn't even care to notice? It's not like Sophie Cunningham was shooting 58% the last 6 games from the three-point arc, 18 for 31. But instead of the center swinging it, she'd rather pull up for the 3. You'd think the coaches would see this. Kelsey Mitchell, just move the ball up the court. She's wide open, wide open. Oh, Let me just throw it out of bounds. Stephanie White, I know you love Ari McDonald and Kelsey Mitchell and Natasha Howard, but how can you not see this? It's plain as day. But thank you so much for watching the video. I am not 100% sure. That's the conclusion I came up with after watching every single play of the game and seeing how this game played out. But thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We love every single one of y'all. Peace.